Hey everybody, welcome back to Jeff Bowles Central. We got a game review for you today. This is kind of a special one for me because it's my first official next-gen video game that I've played. Played this on the Xbox Series X, which is pretty cool, man. Like, I feel pretty lucky to have gotten one, and very pleased to be able to, like, play this and share it with you. So this is Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I am a longtime Assassin's Creed player. I think I've played every single major console Assassin's Creed. I'm pretty sure that I have. If I haven't beat every single one of them, I've at least played it. And I've especially been a fan of the last two AC games, Odyssey and Origins. And so it's been a couple years since we've had an Assassin's Creed game. And when they announced Valhalla this year, it was pretty exciting because the setting is a Viking in nature. It takes place in Dark Age England during the Viking invasion, right? And as such, it's kind of a cool historical period, sort of untouched in a way, in a historical way, by video games. Like, we definitely have Viking games. Like, you could even consider God of War on the PlayStation a Viking game, but that's definitely mythological in nature. Whereas this does have mythological undertones for sure, but it's more historical. So, the cool thing about it is basically the basic nature of it is you're a Viking and you've come to what to you is the new world, England. And you spend a lot of your time doing things that traditionally, historically speaking, Vikings did. You are raiding monasteries, you are pillaging, you are burning, but there's also, a story to go along with it too. So it's not just it's it's not as like cut and dry as all that. The story is actually kind of interesting because it reminds me in a lot of ways of Ghost of Tsushima's story, in that it's like you're trying to gather to you different lords, different Viking kings and different assets and stuff for like one final big raid push sort of thing. That's kind of the nature of the narrative. But you're gonna be doing a lot of different things. There's a lot to keep you going. There's a lot of variety in the game. I feel like Odyssey and Origins were just kind of cooler games. Like, they were just like they seemed like they were bigger experiences. It seems like Ubisoft has kind of decided to scale back the Assassin's Creed formula a little bit off of those two very, very big games. Like, you were dealing with all of ancient Egypt in one, and then all of ancient Greece in another, and this one is really just localized to the places that the Vikings went. And they were not they were great travelers for their time, but they were not like kingdom holders. They were not like mass landholders. So maybe that's just kind of the nature of the era that they've picked, that it would be scaled back. Like, there's no major like metropolises or anything. There is a London, but it's not anything like Athens was in Assassin's Creed Odyssey or some of the cities in Origins. So on that level, it's a smaller experience, and they've also brought back some things from past Assassin's Creed games that really haven't seen in a while. Some of which I'm not really a big fan of, and I was kind of glad that we ditched them. Like, I don't know how long you've been following Assassin's Creed, but there's definitely been some bad Assassin's Creed games, and some of the ideas that they've reincorporated into this one were from the ones that I don't consider to be the best. But it's sort of a minor thing, really, because as a whole, this is still a very, very, very successful Assassin's Creed game. Like I said, the story's pretty good. The stories are never that great in these games, but they're never that bad. This one's a pretty good one. And the combat I wasn't sure about first. This is the leveling system. This is I'm also not sure about. They went with like a constellation type leveling system where you level incrementally, very incrementally, individual stats, and you can never really see that far ahead what your tree is going to be, so you're never really quite sure what you're going to be doing next, even though you can, like, yeah, it's a little bit messy, the leveling system. And the combat system is a little messy too, because the underlying combat is basic. It's got a strong attack and a weak attack and a block slash parry. And at first you think that's all that there is, because you're not gaining new powers in the manner that you did in Odyssey and Origins. But what you have to figure out is you have to collect special tomes, special books that will teach you new abilities. But you could go the whole game without ever really going and getting those. So you could go the whole game just thinking it's just two buttons to play the combat, and you'd be really bored. It gets really repetitive playing it that way. So some of it just isn't as quite well thought out. Some of it just isn't quite as developed. And there were times where I was kind of wanting for something to do in the narrative, which is unusual for Assassin's Creed. But the last thing that I really want to talk about is what it looks like on a next-gen system. This footage here on YouTube doesn't really do it justice, because it was at full 60 frames a second, full 4K, loading times insanely fast, very, very, very little artifacts, very, very, very little pop-in or anything like that. In short, it's gorgeous. It's stunning. Like, I mean, what are you gonna say? It's a next-gen system playing a next-gen game. Finally, yay! It was pretty. So, I do recommend it. Jeff Bull's Central, in spite of all the flaws, very fulfilling game, especially if you're a history buff, which I kind of am. Jeff Bull's Central gives Assassin's Creed Valhalla an 8 out of 10. Holy cow, that was a mouthful and a half. Motor mouth. Hey everybody, do me a favor. This is my latest novel. This is Love, Madness, Demon. It's like angelic and a demonic, and it's got past lives, and it's got love and romance, and it's got all sorts of crazy plot twists, and I'm so out of energy after that review. Listen, I'm just gonna level with you. I really enjoyed writing this book, and I would really enjoy it if you would read this book. And therefore, I don't see what the problem is. Just help me out. Just meh.